Welcome to the Spheres of Spirit with Nancy Myers, aka the Lady of the Light. Nancy will discuss the everyday magic and wisdom of spirit which surrounds each of us, waiting to be discovered. She will share some of her remarkable orb photos, proving that our angels, guides, loved ones in spirit, and even pets surround us and guide us in our physical world. During this episode, Nancy will discuss one of the many spheres or aspects of spirit available to us based on her orb photography. She will also share a special channeled message from her guide, Leonini, and do an oracle card reading to help guide you along your personal spiritual adventure. And now, here is your host, orb photographer, author, medium, and speaker, Nancy Myers.
Hi, welcome to the show. Thank you for joining me today and spending a little bit of time with me. Today on the show, The Spheres of Spirit, I'm going to talk about numbers. Pythagoras said, God built the universe on numbers. And I have done a show on numbers and sacred geometry. And how is this all now tied into the orbs? Well, I'm going to tell you what just happened to me. And it's quite a story. And I have some pretty amazing photos, I think, to share with you today. So Pythagoras is, they say, I believe, the father of geometry. And some say he was an ascended master. He has this quote also that says, there is geometry in the humming of the strings. There is music in the spacing of the spheres. And of course, I love that one because spheres. All things. And, I did a show, I think it was show 30, with a lovely woman who is a numerologist and so much more. And she talked about numbers. And she said that numbers were a gift from the gods. Goes way back to the Sumerians and even before. And her name was Michelle Wynne Jones. And if you get a chance, look up her podcast with me. It's number 30. And she said that Pythagoras is her guide and works with her. And so there's such a huge spiritual connection with numbers. So I'm going to walk you through what happened to me. And I did a show on sacred geometry too. So I've always been intrigued by how numbers tie into spirituality and our path and destiny. Well, on June 22nd, I took a picture and I looked at the orb and I thought, I think there's a number in there. First time I have ever captured a number. And I thought, I'm seeing things, because sometimes we see things, our eyes play tricks on us. Well, about I got a reading with my Hazel Martin, and Hazel Martin has also been on my show. She's a fantastic medium. And so she said to me, she goes, the orbs are going to change for you. And I said, okay. Now, if you followed my show, you know that the orbs have changed. I've been doing this for 14 years, and the orbs constantly change. They progress. They show me new things. Well, now here's Hazel telling me they're going to change yet again. She said, you're going to start seeing numbers. And I went, what? Maybe I wasn't seeing things. She says, well, and this was Robbie talking to her, Robbie, my son in spirit. And he said, tell her that we're still working on bringing the numbers forward. Sometimes they're going to be on their side. Sometimes they'll be a little blurry, but you'll see them, Mom. You'll see them. So I went back and I looked at that orb that I thought had a number in it. So Chris, are you there? Can we bring? And okay. And this was the orb that I got. And I absolutely love this. Now you can see it's a little fuzzy. Oops, go back one, Chris. Back to that one. Thanks. So I want you to look at screen left, and it's a beautiful, sunny, bright orb. And at the very bottom, you can see a number. And I went, well, that's the number 32. And then I looked above the number and I could see my white German Shepherd. Her name was Spirit. And she's in the orb, the very first orb that I get with numbers. My dog, whose name happens to be Spirit, is also in the orb. Now, the orb on the right, I did outline her and the number so you can orient your eyes and see where to look. Now, I have a thing with angel numbers, and I'm sure anybody who's on a spiritual path has noticed number sequences. Sometimes you'll look at the clock and it'll be 444 or 333, or a lot of times it's 1111. And it's so uncanny how these numbers, we see them at just the right time. And so I've always looked up, okay, what is the meaning? Why am I seeing that number? Why now? There's a wonderful website. It's called, I think it's Joanne's Sacred Scribes. And I really like her interpretation of the numbers. Where the interpretations came from, I'm not quite sure, but these are her interpretations. And I know a lot of people agree with her. And so that's the site that I refer to most of the time. So I thought, well, I've never seen angel number 32, and I call them angel number 32. I wonder what that means. 32 says, number 32 is a message from your angels that you are to keep your faith and connection with them strong and clear as you progress along your current path. So I thought, well, that was a great way to start out, right? Okay. So I got the number. I loved my message. I thought, okay, well, I don't know how often this is going to happen. Well, then they started happening like every other day. So I think it was 5 days later, I got another orb with a number in it. Now, again, some of these, just as Robbie said, some of these, the numbers you're going to spot right away. And other times you're going to have to trust me. And I've outlined the numbers. They are a bit fuzzy. I think they're getting better at it, though. So, Chris, if we can bring up the second slide. And it is on its side a little bit. It is tilted. The picture on the screen left is the orb. Maybe you can see the number 18 without any help from me, but on the screen right is where I have outlined it for you. So I went, oh my gosh, I got another number. Now, guys, again, I have been doing this for 14 years. I have never captured numbers. So back to my site of Joanne's Sacred Scribes, and I look up angel number 18. And 18 suggests that you are nearing the end of a phase or cycle in your life, and the angels want you to realize that new opportunities will appear for you in due course. So just as I said, the orbs change, they evolve. And here's the number 18 saying, yep, we're going into a whole new direction with the orb. And they gave me that message through the number 18. Not just me, but I always share my orb pictures on my Facebook page, the Orb Connection on Facebook, and you can see all my current orb photos and meanings. So again, I was ecstatic. I thought, okay, Spirit, I'm on board. Let's do this, and I'll watch out for them. So 2 days later, I get another picture, another orb. Now, I take photos every night as long as weather's permitting. It's not windy or rainy or foggy and I usually get some kind of orb. So that's why these are appearing. I'm always taking pictures. My neighbors see the flag. I see Chris is one step ahead of me here. And it was a beautiful green orb at the very top of my palm tree. But look at the bottom. Can you see that number 120? And again, on the screen right, I have outlined it. And now, just for me, I went back and looked through many, many photos of orbs because when you do that, um, it's like, my evolution allows me to see more things within the orbs. As I progress, I see more things. But I thought, "Well, wait a minute. Did I miss these? Did I miss seeing these numbers all these years?" So I went back and looked at my orbs. No, there were no numbers until just, last in July and the end of June. So here's the number 120, and I thought, wow, these are really random, unusual numbers. So what does the number 120 mean? And the number 120 has this meaning. It's a message to trust that all will work out for the highest good of all. Have faith and trust that outcomes will be favorable and beneficial to you. So I believe, other than a beautiful message and a message of encouragement from spirit, they were telling me, yes, it's going to get better. This is for the greatest good. So keep going, keep going. So I did. So let's see. The next picture was done 2 days later. And it's almost like these pictures the photos appeared every 2 days, every 2 or 3 days. So here it is. And it was a beautiful orb. And I turned this into a little meme. And now here, the picture screen left is the orb with the number 80 that I outlined. But just next to it is the orb without anything outlined on it, so you can see just as it appeared. So I said, wow, number 80, that's really weird. So again, I look up number 80, and 80 represents finding balance and harmony in your life. Trust your inner wisdom, follow your intuition, and seek spiritual development. So, what a wonderful message for all of us. Follow your wisdom, follow your intuition, and do your own research. I talk about this all the time on my show. I share with you my experiences, my visions, my photos. Um, and I tell you, I'm not an expert. I have no initials after my name of higher education in the realm of spirit photography. I don't think there's a degree in that, but I'm I always stress, if something jumps out at you, um, and grabs your attention while you watch my show, then follow up. Maybe that's the line of inquiry, if you will, that you're to follow for right now. And that's why I do this show, The Spheres of Spirit, to talk about all the different ways to learn about being on a spiritual path. And here is Spirit telling us, follow your intuition, follow your own spiritual development. Wait till you hear the message from my guide that I have today from Leonini about that. And it's amazing how she ties all this in. But truly, it is about, we are all responsible for our own spiritual development. We can't have someone else do it for us. We can't turn over our power to someone else. We have to do the work. And so here Spirit is telling us, I'm going to give you the number 80. And and, and that's exactly, what I think we all need to hear, especially right now. There is so much happening in the world, and there are so many people that I watch a lot of different shows near-death experiences and other spiritual-based podcasts. And, maybe 20 years ago, no one was talking about this stuff. No one was open about it. And if you were, people would look at you either that you were crazy or you were evil. And now it's almost becoming so much more accepted and so normalized, and part of our lives that the stigma has been removed. And people are going, wow. And that's what my son Robbie tells me all the time. He said, Mom, what you know right now is only the very tip of the iceberg. There is so much waiting for mankind once you all start on this path. So I can't stress that enough. Find what resonates with you, start asking questions, start doing the research, and your life will change for the better. I literally get up every morning and I say my quick little protection prayer every morning, but I also say, okay, Spirit, what are we doing today? I kind of turn it over to Spirit. I kind of anticipate a new discovery, a new wow. Robbie told me once, he said, Mom, approach life with a childlike wonder. And he's right, because there's so much unfolding. And I love that it's unfolding not only spiritually, but scientifically with quantum physics and all the things that they're discovering. The gap between science and spirituality is getting smaller and smaller. And now it's to the point where science is affirming or confirming what spiritualists have been saying for a very long time. I just read an article that appeared, or I saw an article that appeared on my phone on the news, and I think it was in Popular Mechanics, of all things, the magazine. And the title of the article was "Science Believes They Have Unlocked Consciousness." Wow. So that's how everything is changing. And I have to tell you, things are changing faster and faster. Things are moving quite exponentially faster as far as our discoveries, our growth, our acceptance of so much more. And it's a fascinating time to be in this age of Aquarius right now. So, okay, I'll get off my soapbox. Okay, so I wanted to talk a bit about, let's see, we did slide number 32. Hold on one second. I have to get to my next. Okay, so the next slide was 2 days later, after the 80 slide. And I love this one. Look at that orb. Now, Robbie told me, he said, Mom, we're working on getting the numbers clearer and clearer, but you're going to see them. And of course, I took a picture of that orb and I went, oh my gosh, 1-5. And I had to look at it a little bit. And I said, what is that number? Is it just 1-5? And then I heard, no, it's 158. And I said, okay. So I look up number 158. And this number suggests that you take the time to meditate and listen to your intuitive messages, as the angels are guiding you through important changes, and they are leading you towards wonderful new beginnings and opportunities. What I just talked about. Trust that all is going as according to divine plan in your life, and you are fully supported in every way. Wow. So if you've noticed that things are moving and things are changing, and sometimes it makes your head spin, know that it's going according to plan. There is a divine plan, and things are supposed to be happening, and just as they're happening, and when they're supposed to happen. It's called divine timing. I've talked about divine timing a little bit on this show before. And Robbie first told me from the other side through a medium that Mom, just trust everything's going to happen in divine timing. What does that mean? It happens when it's supposed to happen. Sometimes we'll think, okay, I'm going to go. Let's say I'm going to go get a new job, and you start filling out applications, and you're knocking on doors, and going to interviews, and nothing's really clicking. And it could be a year, it could be 2 years, it could be a month later. All of a sudden, you hear about a job, or this job offer falls on your lap, and you go, well, I'm going to go check that out. And everything just opens and runs smoothly, and you're hired. Why? Because that's the job you were supposed to have when you were supposed to have it. It's called divine timing. We can't force things, and we still have to do the work. It's just like someone had told me a lot. I got readings, and every reading it was, you're going to write a book, you're going to write a book. And I went, no, I don't want to write a book. I'm not an author, I'm not a writer. And finally, it all started in a dream, and my son came in my dream and said, Mom, here's the name of the book. Here's the first chapter, get on it. And I said, okay. But by that time, I had enough material and enough experiences to write the book. But it's like, when it's supposed to happen, Spirit's going to hit us over the head with now it's time. So I just love that Spirit is saying, okay, now it's time for the orbs to communicate in a whole new way, because that's what they're doing. They're talking to me, they're talking to us through the gift of numbers. And when you think about it, that's pretty awesome. So just when I think, okay, that I've seen everything about the orbs, then here comes the numbers. So, and it happens. I have to tell you, and I think I've said this before, what I read, what I've experienced, what I've seen, what I've dreamt about now, had I had those experiences 8 or 10 years ago, I wouldn't have understood them, for one, and I probably wouldn't have accepted them because I wasn't in the right place. Spirit hadn't brought me along. I didn't have the foundation. I didn't have the knowledge. The right people will be brought to you, the right circumstances, the right books, when you're supposed to have them. So please don't discount when things pop up and say, oh, that's just coincidence. Or, there's a thing that says, I think it was Albert Einstein, coincidence is God's way of saying staying anonymous. And so there is everything, every single thing happens for a reason, even the smallest thing. So, okay. So the next slide, which was again a couple days later, and this was the number 2. And it was, I love the way the 2 was there. I mean, there is no doubt that that's a 2, with the curve came to a point and then the straight line underneath. And it's purple. So, orb colors mean a lot. I've talked about orbs and colors in past podcasts, but purple is a higher vibrational color. And I'm going to talk about a little bit more purple and blue here. But here's the meaning of number 2. It says the number 2 holds a special place in the spiritual world. It's a reminder that life is full of ups and downs, but maintaining balance is key. So what they're telling us is we're not meant to have a life without challenges. When we're challenged is when we grow. If life is always comfortable, we're not going to make changes. Why would we want to make changes? Everything's going along just fine. But Spirit is telling us in a very kind way that this life here on earth is meant to be a challenge. And how you respond to that, and how you handle that, and how you learn from that is what's important. And again, I go back, wait till you hear Leonini's message. So let me take a break. I have a couple more slides for you, and then I have a story that happened on the blue moon. So we'll be right back.
Times TV. The story told in Entering the Light Fantastic, Discovering Life After Life Through Orbs, is about Nancy Meyer's spiritual and emotional rising from the devastating ashes of loss caused by the sudden and unexpected passing of her son Robbie. Just like the legend of the reborn phoenix, Nancy's life purpose and focus was transformed. With the help from her son in spirit, Nancy found herself providing proof through orbs that our souls do not die with our bodies. In her second book, Encircled by the Light Fantastic, A Deeper Journey into the Light with Orbs, Nancy continues chronicling her path of gaining spiritual knowledge and expanding acceptance of what is possible, while traveling to many sacred and ancient sites around the world. She shares these experiences with you along with her photographs of remarkable spirit encounters. Imagine becoming a super influencer. Reinvent yourself, invest in your brand, and then manifest your success with a robust spheric approach. Om Times Media and Broadcasting offers a unique and multifaceted way to become the spiritual and conscious influencer you deserve to be by putting your message across our powerful platform with its proven record of integrity and excellence. Through our produced shows, Om Times offers the opportunity to become a social media TV personality, a radio show host, an Om Times magazine columnist, and a syndicated podcaster, all in one shot. By live streaming your show on Om Times TV and broadcasting it across the extensive Om Times radio and TV networks, you become more than a host. You become an ambassador and a force for positive change. Om Times. Open yourself to the possibilities.
¿Qué color? Perfecto, mijo. Gracias. Thank you. What's wrong, mijo?
Donating to a pet's medical care is one of the many ways you can help families in your community. Pets and people belong together. Learn more at petsandpeopletogether.org.
Okay, we're back. So let me make sure that Chris can still see me. Chris, can you tell me? I'm so sorry. Okay, we're back on. I don't know. These tech gremlins have been giving me fits here these last couple podcasts, and I can't figure out what's going on. But anyway, thank you for staying with me, and I will work hard to get this fixed. Okay, so let me bring up the next photo. And if Chris is ready there, thank you, Chris. And this was done about August 27th, I think. And can you see the number 3? Spirit's getting better and better as this progresses in making the numbers straighter and clearer. Now, number 3, I love number 3. 333 means, according to Joanne's Sacred Scribe website, is a message that the Ascended Masters are with you. When Robbie is near me, I always see either the number 3 or the number 333. And when I saw this single 3, I looked up and it says, I made a meme out of it. It says, angel number 3 encourages you to be communicative and social with others, and to live your life with joy, optimism, and spontaneity. Why I love this is because that's exactly how my son lived his life. He lived it with joy. He was kind to others. He was very communicative. He was a wonderful orator, a wonderful writer. But that is very indicative of the way that he lived his life. So, yes, this is an angel number, but I think also this particular orb, and when Robbie appears in orbs, it's a teal color orb. So not only was it the number 3, it appeared in a teal color orb, and it's telling his mom and all of us, look, live your life with joy, and spontaneity, enjoy life. My son packed many, many years of living in his short lifespan. He died just a couple days before his 28th birthday, but he never sat around going, God, I wonder what I should do. I mean, he filled every moment. And so that's what Spirit's telling us. Life is a gift. So I want to tell you now a story about one of the, sometimes when I take photos, I get other things. I get other lights. I'll get fairies. You've seen my dragons. I get moving orbs, bright flashes. But I took a picture, and this was on August 18th. And on that day, the reason that that's significant is because it was a full moon. It was called the Sturgeon moon, and it was considered a supermoon, and it was a blue moon. Now, what does a blue moon mean? A blue moon, I had to look it up. I thought originally a blue moon was the second full moon of the month. It can mean that, but the original meaning is it's the 4th full moon in a 3 months or a season. So 8/18 happened to be a blue full supermoon. So it was a very powerful night. So I took this picture, and if we can bring up that slide. Can you see that blue light? Now there's nothing there. There is no light there. And I take pictures of this area all the time. But it almost like was a shard or a sword of light coming down. And I thought the blue was really profound. I've never captured anything like that. And I thought, well, this is really interesting. It's a ray of light. Now, if you saw my podcast my last podcast, I did a podcast on my trip to Mount Shasta, and I touched briefly on the 7 rays of light. Well, I'm going to talk a little bit more about the 7 rays of light. This is according to archetypalchemy.com. Sorry, I just totally destroyed that. Thank you, Chris. You can take that down. The 7 rays are 7 different creators, forces of the universe, and that's in the writings of Madame Blavatsky. She said that the 7 rays were related to the celestial beings referred to as the primordial 7. These 7 rays are the origin of the 7 principles in nature, and they must not be confused with mere mechanical colors or energies. They are more like conscious, primordial emanations of the logoic consciousness, of the God consciousness. So each ray, I'm going to get into that in a little bit more here. Each ray has a color and It's associated with beings, archangels, ascended masters. So let me go over a couple things here. In Theosophy, which Madame Blavatsky started, the 7 rays originate from the solar logos, the consciousness of the divine being, which we just talked about. In Hinduism, and Vedic traditions, which go way back. So this isn't a modern concept. The 7 rays have been around for thousands of years, or the concept of them. Excuse me. So in Hinduism and Vedic traditions, the 7 rays are associated with the deity they call Agni, the god of fire, lightning, and sun. In New Age teachings, the rays are attributed to the origins of the 7 rays, to the consciousness of the solar logos, and the galactic logos is what they call. Each ray is associated with specific qualities, with masters of wisdom, colors, and even planetary influences. So that's kind of the New Age thinking on that. But even in Christian symbolism, the 7 rays are often associated with the 7 gifts of the Holy Spirit mentioned in the Bible. So you can see that the ray idea has permeated through all religions and philosophies for many, many, many thousands of years. So I want to go through the rays really quick here and tell you about. Okay, so the first ray, these are the kind of interpretations of each color of the ray. So the first ray is often associated with the color red. It represents energy of will, power, and divine purpose. It's connected to leadership, strength, and the drive to manifest and create. The first ray is associated with the expression of the divine masculine aspect within individuals. So what is it saying? So it's when the rays, the solar rays, or the energy of that ray comes down to Earth, it imbues these representations or energies into us or into the Earth. So that's what they're referring to here. The second ray is associated with the color blue, and this ray embodies wisdom, understanding, and enlightenment. It's connected to knowledge, spiritual insight, and the pursuit of truth. So that's the ray that I got. It says it's connected to the Archangel Michael, and we're going to get back to that in 1 second. So the third ray is represented by green, and this ray is associated with love, compassion, and creativity, and it encompasses the qualities of harmony, beauty, and emotional expression. The fourth is the color yellow. It's balance, healing, and harmony, and it's connected to the realms of art, beauty, and restoration of equilibrium. The fifth, represented by orange, is intellect, knowledge, scientific inquiry. It encompasses logical thinking, analysis, and the pursuit of truth through mental processes. And the sixth, often associated with the color violet, embodies devotion, idealism, and spiritual vision. It's connected to quality of service, dedication, and the pursuit of higher ideals. The seventh is the color indigo or purple, and this is associated with spirituality, transformation, and divine order. So these are the rays of light. Now I'm going to go out on a limb here and just talk about what I have learned and put 2 and 2 together here. So we have these rays that come down and can influence us, but notice they are also the colors of our chakra. So if we're over, like, let's say there's a scientist and he's like, Tesla, and I can just picture him surrounded and flooded with the yellow rays of science. And why? Because that's his strength. That's what he was meant to do. That's his divine purpose. And so they're going to help him. But we don't have to be a Tesla to get the advantages of having this light, these rays affect us. They're for everybody. And there is, no coincidences that there's 7 chakras and 7 rays of light, and pretty much in the same order. So I want to go back or go to the next picture. So I got that blue ray and I went, oh, wow, that's really cool. So my very next picture was this orb. And you can see the letter M and the number 44. And it's almost as if, now, if you remember just a minute ago, I said the blue ray is associated with Archangel Michael. Here, the very next picture, I get an orb with the letter M and the number 44. Michael, it is said, has been assigned to the earth to protect us. And the number 44 says the angels surround you and protect you. That's the sacred scribe meaning of the number 44. I was flabbergasted. When you think about it, here's the blue ray that Michael wields, and he's telling me in the very next orb, yeah, it's me. It's Michael, and it's number 44. You can't make this up. Thank you very much, Chris. So, I knew, okay, we're on to something here. I think it's going to continue. I think the messages will be, and the numbers will continue. And I think I will continue to share them. But talk about confirmation, that this is what I'm supposed to be doing. One of the things that I like and why I like to get a lot of mediumship readings is I want confirmation. So I'll get a couple readings from different people, reputable people. And when they say the same thing that someone else says, and they have nothing to do with each other, or, and I certainly didn't share any information ahead of time, then I say, okay, I need to sit up and take notice of that. So, the confirmation of getting the numbers, getting the reading, and then having Michael show up with his blue ray of light, and then an M and a 44. I think we're into a whole new way of getting messages from spirit for the benefit of mankind. So I went through those one at a time, and I thought, I'm going to put all those together and see what the message is. So this is for everybody, and this is from the orbs. Keep your faith and connection with spirit strong and clear as you progress along your current path. You are nearing the end of a phase or cycle in your life. New opportunities will appear for you in due course. Trust that all will work out for the highest good. Have faith, and that outcomes will be favorable and beneficial to you. Find balance and harmony in your life. Trust your inner wisdom, follow your intuition, and seek your own spiritual development. Take the time to meditate and listen to your intuitive messages as the angels are guiding you through important changes and are leading you towards wonderful new beginnings and opportunities. Trust that you are fully supported in every way. Life is full of ups and downs, and maintaining balance is key. Be communicative and social with others, and live your life with joy, optimism, and spontaneity. And I just thought, when I put all that together, what a beautiful, beautiful message. That spirit is stringing along. So, as many of you know, I sit before each podcast and I channel my guide, Leonini. And so I sat with Leonini, and I always ask her, please tie in the message to the podcast. And she cracks me up. So this is what she said. And she didn't show me, usually she'll show me a vision of something, a picture of something. But this time she just showed me the letters B, E. I said, okay, B. So here's her message. B, it's a small word that packs a powerful punch. What does that simple 2-letter word mean? It can mean a state, It can mean that something exists. It can mean an action or a command. To be or not to be is a thought-provoking 5-word sentence that you have all heard before. To be, to exist, to act, or not to be, to choose no action. Your physical life as a human being is an opportunity for your soul to exist and to learn by making choices. You can choose to be curious, to be compassionate, to be loving, to be gentle, to be kind, or you can choose not to be all of those things. This is the great gift of being in the physical world, free will. A choice to be the very best that you can be, or not to be, taking advantage of the opportunities to expand. To be or not to be is a decision that only you can make. But if you choose to be, all of the heavenly forces assist you. If you choose not to be, you choose to be disconnected from all that is. To be or not to be, that truly is the question. I thought that was so clever. Maybe I'm a little biased. She is my guide. But the way that she tied that in to the message that I got from the orbs and what we were going to talk about on today's podcast, again, they're emphasizing you are responsible for your own spiritual development. The choices are for you to make. They're there for you to make. But more importantly, when you want to go down that path, you have support. And so because of that, our destiny, our path, our journey, one of the things that cards that I pulled today is called Sacred Destiny. So I'm going to shuffle and I will hopefully pull a card that resonates with everyone. That's always my intent. And I ask that these messages are from the highest good and for the highest good. And I have one more picture, I believe, to show you and one more message before we sign off here. But let me do these cards here first. And I'll shuffle one more time. And somehow Spirit always picks the right card for this podcast. I don't know how they do that, but they always do. Okay. So the message is power. We hold the power. We are more powerful than we have any inkling of. Again, I watch a lot of near-death experience videos, and the stories that people who have survived death or have experienced death and come back, the stories that they talk about, many of them say, "Oh my gosh, we're so much more powerful than we think. We are such great creators. We have no idea of the power that we hold in our hand." And we can make that choice. So please know that you are powerful beings, and you help co-create this world. So I got one more picture here, and I think do I have one more, Chris? One more photo? Oh, maybe not. Maybe I went through all that. Okay, I do not. I went through all my pictures, but I did get another orb just before I was going to do this podcast, so I didn't have time to get it to Chris, but I wanted to go over it with you. So I took a picture, and the number that appeared in the orb was number 56. And I went, wow, that's really different. So here's what number 56 means. And this is again for everybody. Trust that the changes taking place in your life are aligned with your soul mission and life purpose. The angels will ensure that you will have all that you need along the way. You know, we live in some pretty volatile times right now. not just here in the United States, but all over the world. And things seem to be ramping up, getting a little bit more extreme one way or the other. And um, it can be really scary. But what the angels are saying is it's you chose to be here at this time. We all have our own missions. We all have our own purpose to assist us through this phase. So just trust, enjoy the moment. And that's what my son has always told me. He said, Mom, live in the now. And I've said that before, because if we live in the now, there's no room for the burdens of the past or the worries of the future. We are right here, right now. And in that moment, in that swing of the pendulum, when it's going neither right nor left, is where we find joy, because we have room for it. So try to live in that moment. So with that, I hope you enjoyed today's podcast. If I do get numbers, I will post them on my Facebook page. And you can check back there. If something fantastic comes in, of course, I will share it on the podcast. I did share something on my page, and I'll just tell you about it real quick because I have time. I get pictures of celebrities or people of celebrity that you will recognize or you'll know. And night before last, I think it was, I got a picture and I had a face in it. And again, this is on my Facebook page. You can check it out. And I looked at it and I saw the man's face and I heard Dennis Weaver. Now, I don't know if you're old enough like me to know who Dennis Weaver is. He used to star in Gunsmoke. He was Chester in Gunsmoke. And then he had his own series, I think, called McCloud. Anyway, I had a chance to meet Dennis Weaver. A friend of mine was writing an article. I think this was back in the 90s, early 90s or late 80s. And he was writing an article for a magazine he worked for. And he said, I'm going out to Dennis Weaver's house in Los Angeles. Do you want to come, and meet him? And I go, oh, sure. And I found Dennis Weaver, Mr. Weaver, to be one of the most unassuming, and he was very soft-spoken and just a kind man. And I really enjoyed meeting him. And the article that my friend wrote for him was really nice. But now that was 40 years ago, okay? And here he is appearing in an orb. And I thought, wow. Now, so I do have a connection with Mr. Weaver. But I thought, why? What's his message? What's his message? And I looked up and I read a little bit of bio about him, his biography. I did not know that he was a very spiritual, not religious, but a very spiritual man. This was in the 70s and 80s, so he was way ahead of his time. And they said it was a never-ending search for God. So he followed Hinduism, I believe it was. But anyway, this year he would have turned 100. He passed, I think in 2003. But I looked up some of his famous quotes, and I found the quote, and it said, to change mass consciousness is an individual responsibility. And I thought, that's an awesome message. So I will leave you with that. How do we change the world? One person at a time, one kind act at a time. So thanks again for tuning in. I'll see you next time. Take care. Bye-bye.